My name is Sipho Mahlangu. I'm the member of the Executive Committee of the National House of Traditional Leaders. I'm here to participate in the program as a partner to the research chair at the University of Cape Town. My talk today was about certain cultural practices that seem to be at crossroads with human rights or the Constitution, but with greater emphasis to the culture of Ugutwala. The first culture that one looked at was a culture on initiation for boys. That was mainly supposed to look at what would be the conflicts with human rights and what is expected of culture, whereby one has to go through that culture to serve cultural expectations, and also as a rite of passage from boyhood to manhood. But when one looks at the human rights issues there, would be the issue of consent, whether does the boy has a choice when it comes to this matter, or is it parents that would decide for this boy? And also to look at the danger issues that are associated with this culture. And then one went on to look at the second one being a culture of Gungena, or a culture where one would inherit a widow, that is, or inherit your brother's wife, of which is a culture that is practiced by many ethnic groups within South Africa, where after the passing on of a brother, there would be a process of mourning. After a year, then that person would then, the woman would then cook, and if the woman chooses to be inherited, whatever that she would have cooked, she would give to the person that is supposed to inherit her. If she chooses not to be inherited, she would then take that very same plate and give it to a child. So I think that covers the issue of choice for this person, because in most cases, when the opponents of this culture talk, they would always talk about the issue of a forced marriage. And when one looked at different cultures, as much as we have not done research, we're still going to do a full research on this with UCT. But from those that are practicing it, those that are living this culture, we've seen that people do have a choice. If a person does not choose to be party to this, then the person would then not be a party to it. There's also issues that we've looked at in terms of health issues. HIV testing is what we've looked at, and as traditional leaders, we've started discussions with our communities around these cultures. You know, that probably as we move towards democracy and modernity, are they still applicable? If the community says they are still applicable, what ways could be done to make it adapt to the current situation? Looking at the health issues, looking at protection of inheritance of these children, also protecting the inheritance of the wife to the deceased. Then one went into more emphasis into the culture of Ugutwala, which is a culture loosely translated, or as translated by those that would be opponents of it, it's abduction. But those that understand this culture, is that for you to understand it, you do not have to give it a direct translation, but you'd have to look at how does this culture manifest itself. Normally, this culture, it's a precursor to a customary marriage, whereby before a young couple would go into marriage, the process of lobola would sometimes take long, and you'd also find that in other instances, the in-laws would not want that boy to become their son-in-law. Or 3, you'd find that the lady is pregnant and she doesn't want the family to know that she is pregnant. So when that happens, then they would then plan with her boyfriend that you must take me. When you take me, then this woman would pretend as if she's being taken by force, and she would be screaming sometimes and all those, then taking her to that family. Once she arrives at the family, sexual intercourse is not supposed to happen. There has to be a team that is sent to this lady's house, whereby they would be told that when they are looking for her, they should look for her at this family. Then once they come there, that's when the process of lobola negotiations would then ensue. But then the groom's family would have an upper hand now in terms of negotiating the lobola price, because in most cases you'd find that when the bride's family is in charge, they would then want too many cows, or there would be too many complications. The process might take a bit long. So the key factor within this culture is that there must be consent. But we do acknowledge that there are those that have abused this culture for selfish reasons. There's been many cases that have been reported, especially in the Eastern Cape, where children from between the age of 12 and 14 years have been abducted and being made to become wives. In this instance, we are saying the Children's Act must take effect, the Criminal and Justice Systems Act must also take into effect, and the Constitution, because the Constitution in South Africa says that you can practice your culture as long as it is not in conflict with human rights. So this is in conflict with human rights because this person, 1, has no choice, 2, she's still a minor, 3, this person has been entered, has been raped. So of which all those are criminal acts, and in some instances, that person will be assaulted. So all those things are criminal elements where we are saying for this culture to be as pure as it used to be, all these criminal elements must be removed and the law must take its course. And us as traditional leaders, we need to engage our communities where this culture is happening, report those cases, and make sure that all that is brought into book. And I think us as the National House of Traditional Leaders, one of our key roles is to make sure that the cultures that are in conflict with the Constitution, we bring them in line. On those that are in conflict with human rights, we bring them in line and make sure that there is no discrimination against women, make sure that there is no discrimination and oppression of children, to make sure that the community is protected. Because if you look at culture has always been there to protect. Once it starts suppressing other rights, then that's where we need to come in and bring them in line. I think we're hoping that we'll benefit from this conference by identifying areas that will close the gap between fundamental rights and our indigenous rights. Thank you.